Get ready to get sticky. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Corona Crush. Corona Crush is creating Jewish couples always. Join the Facebook group. Just search Corona Crush and look out for virtual speed dating events happening every other week. They're 100% free and 100% Jewish.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sticky Situations. I'm your host, Rachel, which obviously you already know because I'm unforgettable. Everyone, right now, whatever platform you're listening on, if you are not already subscribed and following, subscribe and follow. Give us, if your platform allows for it, give us a 5-star rating and a glowing review. Nice reviews only. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Everyone, go like Sticky Situations page on Facebook. Follow Sticky Situations Pod on Instagram. Follow Sticky Situations Pod on TikTok. And if you would like to be a guest on my podcast, there are applications in my Corona Crush posts, or you could just send me a DM on Instagram at Sticky Situations Pod, or send me an email at stickysituationspod@gmail.com. Same goes for if you would like to date any of my single guests, but I would love to be a shotgun or at least try to make it happen for you. But really, I'm pushing this like come being a guest because it's a lot of fun and I like talking to different people. Like, just send me a message. Could have a lot of fun. We'll record a nice recording over Zoom, and yeah, you'll have your own episode and you'll be famous. So that's cool. Or you'll be anonymous and you won't be famous. That's cool too. But yeah, so plug to be a guest on the podcast. I'm looking for more guests. We need more guests for the podcast to continue. Okay, so now that the plugging is over, um, let's get right into the episode. So today I have an extra special guest. Please welcome my friend Yael. Yael, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited that you're here.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so yeah, before we get into your stories, can you just tell me and my listeners some basic information, your age, location, relationship status, and religious denomination?
Yes. I'm from New York. I'm 26 years old. My relationship status is single and ready to mingle.
So, gentlemen, if you're interested, reach out.
And my religious denomination, I would say I'm modern Orthodox. I'm Shomer Shabbat, Shomer Kosher. And yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's hear a story.
All right. Now, this goes way back to my second dating experience ever. When I was in my senior year in college, I decided to sign up for Rachel's favorite online dating platform. Not Corona Crush, but YU Connects.
That was sarcasm if you guys couldn't detect that.
Now, this was like right before COVID. I was in my last semester in college, and I was like, you know what? Haven't met anyone yet. Let's sign up for YU Connects and see what happens. I was matched with someone. We had a like really solid, nice phone conversation for about 2 hours, and she said, "Hey, want to go out tomorrow night for dinner?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?"
Wow, a 2-hour conversation?
It was a long conversation, so I had like solid hopes for this date, and I was excited. It was December. He was like, "Why don't you meet me at the restaurant?" Which already was a little bit of a red flag for me because I was like, "Hey, you're not picking me up." I get to this restaurant and I walk in, and he already has chosen a table. Now it's the dead of winter, it's December, and he decides to choose the table right next to the door.
Oh no, bad call.
Oh, yes.
Were there other tables open?
Many other tables open. We were like the only people in the
What the
restaurant.
heck?
Yeah, so I was like, oh, dang, this is not gonna be good. Red flag. I sit down.
Wait, why didn't you ask him if you could switch tables?
That is a fantastic question. I don't know. I don't know. I should have, but I don't know.
Now for the future.
Exactly. Now I sit down at the table. We order. It's like a more casual place. So I'm like, okay, I'll get a slice of pizza. He gets falafel. And like we start talking. And now like sometimes when I go on dates, I know the second I walk in and see the guy in person for the first time, like, oh no, this is not gonna work. Now I had a bit of a pit in my stomach, and I was like, this is not gonna be good.
Even though you had like a good 2-hour conversation before.
Yes, because he actually looked nothing like his pictures.
Oh.
So I sit down, like, we're about to start eating. And at this point, I'm like, I don't know how long I'm gonna last on this date. He is not making eye contact with me. He keeps looking down at his plate, and I'm like, dude, you think I'm ugly or something? Because like this is just really awkward. So I panic a little bit, and I'm like, okay, Yael, you're gonna have to figure out how to make this date go by super fast or come up with an excuse or something because I don't know how long this is gonna last for. Now, about 25 minutes into the date, he still hasn't looked at me. He keeps talking to me about his favorite book that he actually brought to the date, which
What
was
the heck?
Dracula. Like, just really bizarre. And I'm like, okay, that's it. Like, I don't know what to do. I sneak my phone into the sleeve of my sweater, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a run for it to the bathroom. I'm gonna time myself because I don't want to take too long. I run to the bathroom. I call my roommate, and I'm like almost in tears. I'm like, this is the worst date I've ever been on. What do I do? Can you come and save me? And she's like, yeah, oh, you're crazy. It's probably not that bad. Like, don't worry about it. Just like say something came up and like you have to get going really soon. Now, I timed myself while I was in the bathroom. I knew I didn't want to take more than 5 minutes because like then it would be a little suspicious. Now I get back to the table, I sit down, and my date has finished his whole entire dinner while I was in the bathroom. And then goes to tell me, oh yeah, Al, I have really bad heartburn. So at this point, I'm like, I need to leave. I don't know what to do. So I'm like, oh, something came up in my apartment. Like, I really have to go. And he was like, oh, okay, no problem. And then just like gets up to pay, doesn't even offer to walk me back. And was like, oh, I actually have a train to catch. Have a good night. And leaves. Now he leaves me stranded, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just walk myself home in the dead of winter in the dark. And I go back to my apartment, and I was like, that was the worst date I've ever been on.
How far was the restaurant from where you lived?
It was down the block.
Oh, so he literally could have walked you home and picked you up, and it would have been like nothing.
Exactly.
So dumb.
Boys are stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, this also wasn't my first bad experience with YU Connects. I had been on a previous date with someone that I was set up through YU Connects. Happens to have been, he took me to the same restaurant.
Oh, that's like
No, I don't know who
it's a
YU
cursed
Connects.
restaurant.
It's a cursed restaurant, and clearly all the guys at YU Connects are told to go to this restaurant.
Really?
Yeah, it's horrible.
Wait, I'll edit it out. What restaurant is it?
Jerusalem Cafe.
Oh, I hate Jerusalem
It's
Cafe.
awful.
It's like the worst place.
I know. Now I get taken out on this date, and I get there. A few things like that were on his profile, were inaccurate. He said he didn't live at home. He actually lived in his mom's basement. Said he had a job. Did not have a job. And then told me that robots were going to take over the world and take over all of our jobs. And I was like, all right, you are not the one for me.
I do happen to believe him with that. But I don't think they're going to take over our jobs. I think they're just going to kill us
That is true.
or make us their slaves.
That
But
is
I don't think
possible.
you could talk about that on a date unless it like
This was
came up.
also pre like ChatGPT
Yeah, this
and
was
AI
pre-AI.
stuff. So it was a little creepy to me at that point where like maybe now I would have been like, oh, interesting. Like, let's discuss it further.
Was he a lot older than you?
Um, I actually don't remember, but I think he might have been around the same age as me.
Okay. So weird. Do you think he's married now? Or you
I have
think he still
no
lives in his
idea.
mom's basement without a job?
I have a feeling he might still live in his mom's basement without a job and his cats.
Ew.
Yeah.
Cats are kind of a red flag, even though, like, I decided if I were to ever get a pet, I'd rather have a cat than a dog. Because I feel like I resonate with cats more.
Interesting.
Also, I just don't have to take care of them, but I also don't want an animal.
Yeah. They're a lot of
But
work.
yeah. Ugh. Gross.
Now, to bash why you connects even more. I just want to stop here.
My favorite.
I also had another experience where I was matched with a guy. I wasn't sure if I was gonna say yes, and I was like, you know what? One date doesn't hurt. That's usually my motto. I'm like, you know what? I can just go on one date. Either it'll be a really good date, or I'll have a ridiculous story to share on a podcast.
Yeah, and thank God you did.
Exactly. Now we never made it to a date because we started off by having a phone call, and during the phone call he was like, by the way, this is the first time I'm talking to a girl, and his mom came into his bedroom multiple times while he was on the phone with me, and I was like, this is not for me. I don't need to be in a relationship with you and your
Wait,
mother.
that's so weird.
Bizarre.
Wait, and you were the first girl he was ever talking to?
Yes, apparently.
That's so weird. That's so weird for him to tell you.
Yeah, really strange.
I don't think I ever told like the first guy I went out with that he was my first guy.
Neither did I.
Like, it didn't matter. He was irrelevant.
Yeah.
I think like your firsts and things are just like it's like dumb and it's all arbitrary and like
Yeah,
some people marry the first person they go out with, but most people don't.
that is true. Those people are really lucky. Don't
Yeah.
have to go through this crap.
Yeah, I mean I'm glad I didn't marry the first guy I went out with.
Same.
He was weird.
Otherwise, I would be married to a guy who thinks robots are going to take over the world. So,
Oh God. I'm just like baffled by the fact that you could have like a really good 2 hour conversation with him and then the actual in person was so bad. Cause like I don't think I've ever had that.
so shockingly, I've actually had that multiple times. Um, and that's why I don't enjoy having a phone call before I go out on that first date. I'd rather go out on that first date because I feel like the phone calls are like false information for me because I might feel connected to him texting or on the phone, and then the second I get to the date I'm like, "Oh shoot, what the hell was I thinking?"
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I just like to hear the guy's voice so I can make sure he's not socially off. Because sometimes they are, and you could tell from literally one time I made a guy have a phone call with me, and I thought he was socially off, but I couldn't tell. So then I made him switch to video call just so I could actually tell, and then I ended it right after. It was like a bad move because, like, I think he likes me and he wanted to take me out, but I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
He kind of seemed a little socially off from his texting,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to make sure. But I don't know, I usually don't have like really, really long conversations with guys before I go out with them. Sometimes, like, if I do though, I feel like we do get along on the I really can't think of a good scenario. Like I can only think of one scenario where we actually talked on the phone a couple times before we went out, but like our in-person chemistry was like the same as our phone chemistry, which was good.
Right.
Texting is different.
Yes, texting is very different. I've also had scenarios where like I really connected with a guy over texting, and like we texted for a while before going out on that initial first date, and then like the date was horrible.
Yeah, no, texting it's like, it's just pen paling.
Yes.
And like, I love texting. I'm a texter. If you're my friend and you text me, I love it. I love texting my friends. I don't want to text random strangers
Yeah.
that I don't know. Like if I'm dating someone and we're in a relationship, like yeah, I like when you text me. But I don't want to text guys that I've never met in person for a long time. Like I'd rather just like let's set up a phone call, let's set up a date, and let's be done.
So you're an anti-apps girly.
Yeah, but I use them.
Yeah.
I think I heard someone else say this, like the best key for the apps is to get off the app as fast as you can.
That's a good way to look at it. I never thought about it that way.
I mean, obviously do your due diligence and make sure it's safe. Like don't like just I also find it a turn off when a guy on an app is just like you want to go meet for coffee. Like I don't like that. I like a couple like friendly back and forths, like maybe like tell me a tiny bit about yourself via like message, like maybe a few messages back and forth, and it's like, oh, do you want to jump on a phone call? Like a
Right.
quick phone call to see like if we should go on a date. I do think the phone or video call is an important step in dating apps,
Yes, I agree.
but also I hate talking on the phone and I have phone anxiety. Like, I don't know. Even when I have to call my mom, I'm just like, I don't want to talk on the phone. And like I talk to my mom and then at some point she's like, oh, okay, are you like done? I'm like, yeah, I just like don't want to be on the phone anymore. And like I don't know, I just
struggle is real.
which is funny because I love talking to people. Like I'm a talker. I just don't like being on the phone. So like I'm never the first person to be like, let's get on a phone call. But yeah, I think with the apps, you have to get on a phone call to make sure that they're like a semi-normal
And
person.
not a serial killer.
Well, yeah, you also have to Google them.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you can reverse Google image search their profile pictures and find them, like find their Facebook. Sometimes you can figure out their last name. Ladies, always send your friends your location if you're meeting a stranger.
Oh yeah.
I carry weapons.
Pepper spray for the win.
I have a taser too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Have you ever had to use it?
No. Thank
Okay,
God.
good.
I hope I don't. I hope I don't ever. But like, I don't know. I think like also I feel like the apps are just dying these days.
Yeah, they kind of are.
Like nobody really talks on the apps.
No, you don't hear about them so much anymore.
All the people who like me on Hinge humble me to my core. Like the second I see that someone like me on Hinge, I'm like, wow, I'm humbled. Like, like that's who likes me on Hinge. And then everyone on J Swipe, nobody talks unless it's guys to tell you that they just want to hook up.
Oh my God, yes.
But yeah, no, these boys, like, I don't know. And some of them are very respectful about it. Like, some of them are just like I got a message like a couple weeks ago. It's like, hey, Rachel, like, how are you? I think you're really cute. I just wanted to be upfront that I'm just looking for like a casual hookup, not really ready for a relationship.
So then why are you on the app, sir?
I don't know. I think these from guys think that J Swipe's a hookup app.
Yeah, it's no Tinder.
They find the modern Orthodox girls and they think it's a hookup app. And it's always like the more from guys.
It's true.
The less from guys just like don't text, don't message.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the apps are dry. I only swipe to like
I do it when I'm bored at
Yeah.
night, you know?
to ease my boredom.
Exactly.
I mean, like if a guy did message me, I would if I don't I'm open to it, but also like I don't know. One time one of my married friends who was dating his now wife for a little while, so it's been a long
Yeah.
time since he was on the apps. Also, he's a guy. We were at like Chevrolet or something, and he's like, someone else is Chevrolet, and he's like, Rachel, can I play with your J Swipe? And I was like, go for it. And he was like messaging guys, and then every day afterwards, he would text me. He's like, did they answer? Did they answer? Did they answer? And they didn't answer. Like, even if you message these guys first, they don't answer.
Right. And chances are half the guys on these apps have deactivated. Like I've had this issue before with J Swipe where like they've deactivated their account and like they're no longer on the app.
Yeah, I've definitely seen guys who I know are in relationships on there.
Me too.
And
or
like,
that are married.
yeah, engaged. And I don't think they're on the app. Like some people on Tinder are like, oh, I found him on Tinder or whatever. Like, no, I think J Swipe is just glitchy.
Yes.
And like, or these people are
That is a
dumb and they
super
don't
glitchy
actually
one.
like delete their profiles.
It's true. Very true.
But I don't know, I can't remember the last guy I met on J Swipe.
Yeah. Same. I went on one date from J Swipe, but it was more of like I saw a guy on J Swipe. My friend also saw the same guy and was like, "Oh, he might be good for you, Yael." And then like asked a friend to set us up. So I wouldn't really count it as it was like
No.
quasi J Swipe.
I've met with a few guys from J Swipe over my years. But I mean, I've been on the app for a lot of years,
I guess me too.
like 8 years.
I think 6.
I think I downloaded it in either in 2016 or 2017.
Wow,
I want to say 2017.
that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that is crazy.
I was in my year in Israel. This wasn't on my radar yet.
Yeah. I was in my first year post college.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely like gone out with guys on from G Swipe. Some of them better than others, but I don't know. I feel like people don't take it seriously anymore.
You know.
But I don't know what people do take seriously anymore.
I feel like Loop was it like maybe a year ago, and now it's starting to go also a little bit downhill.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never gotten a match on Loop. So I guess all the guys I say yes to don't say yes to me. And then I do say no to a lot of people because a lot of people send me really bad matches
Oh gosh.
on Loop.
Yeah. I actually have been on one date from Loop, and it was actually like pretty solid date until the end of the date where I ended up in his office with him so he can pick up chicken, raw chicken, to then take on the
Honestly, like, I mean, how long was the stop? And how far was it from the date?
We definitely had to take a subway there from where we were. And
Oh,
we were in his office for like a good 10-15 minutes.
oh,
And
that's a
then,
lot.
yeah,
Why didn't he just get it the next day?
needed it for Shabbos. It was a Thursday night. You gotta cook that Shabbos meal.
Yeah, I don't know. I plan ahead.
Me too. I'm a planner. I like to plan way ahead.
Yeah, like, so personally, I wouldn't do that, especially if you had to take a subway. Like, I have had guys meet me by my office before, not this current office, but like previous offices. So I don't think that would have been weird if I left stuff up there and like had to go back and get it. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably do it on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like maybe guys just like don't think like that. Also, I just would have left him and be like, okay, go back to your office. I'm going home.
I guess I'm too nice.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Unless you were having like a good time and you like wanted to continue hanging out.
Yeah, there were definitely like I think I did, but then regretted it after when I was holding chicken on raw chicken on the
Wait,
subway.
you had to hold it?
There was a lot of chicken. He was hosting a meal.
What? Why did he make you carry chicken?
He carried some. I carried some also.
No, I would never carry chicken for a man.
Gotta help out your fellow friends.
I actually do have boys chicken in my fridge right now. But really, it's my neighbors and they did me a solid. I just happened to get home from work early because I needed meat, so I like collaborated with my or I got together with my neighbors and I was like, can you do the order? Because they work from home and I do not. But then I happened to leave work early today because nobody was there. And I told my neighbor that I was home and he texted me, he's like, oh, I have to run out. Do you mind? The order just arrived. Do you mind getting it? Which was also fine because then I got to like take care of my stuff. Like I got to break down my things, put in the freezer, but I do
Nice.
have their stuff in my fridge.
Oh. Hopefully you'll
But it's
carry your own
different. It wasn't
chicken.
on the subway. I just carried it into the elevator into my apartment.
That is true, and I'm sure he will come and carry his own chicken home.
Yeah, I mean he lives upstairs, so
I would hope so.
yeah. I mean, I don't even mind dropping it off upstairs, but I would not carry a guy's chicken on the subway.
Yeah. Well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you ever date while still living at home?
No, because I never lived at home.
Got it.
I mean, since high school.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm not from the New York area.
Got it.
So I like went to seminary, then I came to New York when I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
And then straight out of college, I moved to a different area, different neighborhood in Manhattan. And I've lived in apartments
Wow.
since 2016.
You are lucky because I have had experiences where, like, I would be going on dates and be at my parents' house, and they live in New Jersey. And during COVID, I lived at home and like would go out on dates sometimes, and I hated guys coming up to my door and like my dad answering the door. So I always told my parents to go hide upstairs. But then as we would drive away, I would always see them peeking through the window.
Yeah, I never had that. I lived at home for a little while during COVID. I wouldn't consider it living at home because I still had my apartment, but I went home for part of COVID. And like during that time, I did like virtually date people.
Right.
And that was like always a little weird because
I
it's
did
like,
that too.
but I also like video chatted with a lot of my friends. So I would just tell my parents, I'm like, oh, I'm video chatting with my friend.
Oh no.
So like they wouldn't interrupt me. Like they're like okay with privacy, even though my mom listens to the podcast, even though I told her not to. Um,
That's because she loves you, I'm sure.
yeah, and she probably just wants to know about my dating life because I don't tell her.
Right. And like
But
you
also,
said,
like,
you don't
there's
like
nothing to
talking on the
tell.
phone.
There's nothing to tell. I do talk to her on the phone though. There's nothing to tell about my dating life. Like, I'm not gonna tell her all my bad stories. Literally, one time I told her I went on a date and he was like socially off, and she's like, "Are you sure you don't want to give him a second date?"
Oh my god, my
And
parents do the same thing.
I'm like, "Mom, no." And then I stopped telling her. I told her when I had
Yeah.
boyfriends.
Yeah, I feel like once you get to like a certain point in a relationship with a guy, then you tell your parents. But I'm also like, if I'm going on a first date with a guy, I am not telling my parents. So they ask too many questions. It just gives you more anxiety and then it's not as fun.
Yeah, yeah. And they try to pressure you into continuing to go out with the guy who's socially off. But
Yes, that is true.
I mean, like, she knows that if there was something to tell, I would tell her because in the past, when there was something to tell, I did tell her. So there's nothing to
Right.
tell.
Yeah.
But yeah. Before we move on, should we take a quick break? Let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Sticky Situations is sponsored by Corona Crush. Are you tired of swiping on dating apps? Tired of guessing whether the cute guy or girl you keep seeing around is Jewish and or single? Then you need to run, not walk, to join Corona Crush. Corona Crush is a Jewish organization working to create Jewish couples always. Corona Crush has over 30 confirmed engagements, over 22,000 members from all over the world, and has set up over 50,000 speed dates. Join the Corona Crush Facebook group and post yourself or have a friend post you and see who reaches out. Fill out the survey to sign up for virtual speed dating events happening every other week. Corona Crush is 100% free and 100% Jewish. Worst case, you end up with some stories of your own. Best case, you find the love of your life. Try it out today. Here on Sticky Situations, we tend to focus on bad dating stories, but sometimes dates do go well and lead to proposals and weddings. Who would have thought? And what do all of those require, you might be asking? Well, the answer is flowers. Who doesn't want flowers from someone they've been seeing? Don't forget, flower petals and bouquets needed for proposals. And that's even before all the flowers that go into weddings. Sticky Situations is sponsored by Primrose Flower Shop. In my opinion, Primrose is the coolest flower shop around and has the best customer service to fulfill all of your floral needs. Primrose offers a range of services from your basic bouquets to subscription services where you can get flowers delivered once a week. They deliver all over the tri state area, including Manhattan. Primrose does weddings, bar and bat mitzvahs, and other simchas. I've personally been to a wedding where Primrose did the flowers, and the work they did was beyond gorgeous. Primrose additionally offers in store proposals, including a romantic setup with candles and music. Primrose is located at 2922 Avenue M in Brooklyn, and the phone number is 929 376 9815. You can also follow Primrose on Instagram at PrimroseNY. So, if you can't get someone out of your head, buy them some flowers from Primrose. They'll either love it or they'll find you really creepy. But regardless, the flowers will be out of this world.
Okay, we're back.
Welcome back.
Okay, Yael, do you want to tell another story?
All right. I'm gonna share two stories. Actually, both of them happened with the same guy that I had been going out with for a little bit. One date is just like super embarrassing for me. Like we went out for dinner, like had my burger. I was really thirsty and I went to go drink my water and I missed my mouth. And next thing I knew, I was covered in water and I was wearing a button-down shirt. And my
no.
top button was open and it slid all the way down and it was very embarrassing. Thank God he thought it was funny, but I was pretty embarrassed.
Also, it dries. It's just water.
Exactly.
I've definitely spilled stuff on myself
Yeah.
on dates, probably.
Yeah. Thank God it wasn't a first date. It was like a second or a third, so like it wasn't as bad. If it was a first date, I would
Did
have
he
been.
hand you a napkin or anything?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he did. Now, another story I'm gonna share is also about the same guy. After this date, I ended up ending things with him because this was a bit of a a red flag for me. We went out for ice cream, and while we were at the ice cream store, I'm not sure how this came up in conversation, but he told me I think we were talking about hunting animals. And he was like, I've been chased by a bunny. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I've been chased by a bunny 3 times. I was like, okay, like tell me more. This is bizarre. And he was like, I think bunnies sometimes think that I look like them. So like they like to chase me. And I was like, I think you're being dramatic. Um, and then he told me that if he could get all the bunnies in New York and New Jersey and put them in a golf course, he would shoot them all.
Oh, that's intense. And he wasn't joking
I don't think so.
about any of it?
No,
Also, I've never seen a bunny in New York.
neither have I.
Like, I've only seen rats.
Yeah, I would be fine if he killed all the rats. The
Yeah.
rats are gross.
Yeah. I've seen bunnies in, like, the suburbs,
Yeah,
but not in the
New
city.
Jersey.
Yeah, no, that's intense.
It was pretty intense.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Are you sure he wasn't joking?
No, I'm pretty positive he was not joking.
Like, maybe he just has an irrational fear of bunnies.
It's possible. Look, I mean, I think bunnies are pretty cute.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to get close to them.
Oh yeah, I guess not. You never know. Might have rabies.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe he thinks of bunnies like we think of rats or pigeons. If someone wanted to kill all the pigeons, that's
Oh,
fine.
I'd be fine with that too. Pigeons and the rats.
The pigeons
Disgusting.
and the seagulls.
Seagulls.
Seagulls are just the pigeons of the sea, or
I
the
guess.
pigeons of the beach.
But in New York, we don't see seagulls much
At the
unless we go to the
beach?
beach.
Yeah, but at the beach they're annoying.
Yeah.
The pigeons in New York City are ruthless.
They don't care about people.
No, when it's
They're the rats of the sky.
I know they're disgusting. Also, where do they go at night?
I literally have no idea.
Like,
No clue.
I think one of my old roommates once asked that question, and it's a really good question. Where do the pigeons go at night?
Should we Google it?
Yeah, we can. It says pigeons go to elevated, secure areas to sleep at night, such as ledges, eaves, and other man-made structures.
Interesting.
Uh,
Ugh, sounds
know.
disgusting. Hopefully they don't go on
Yeah.
my windowsill. I would not
Yeah.
want that.
I live too far down. Like too low down. Like there's much higher apartment.
That is true.
But I did have an apartment where I lived in my old neighborhood, where I lived on the 6th floor. I think there were only 6 floors of the building. And pigeons used to like hang out on my air conditioner.
Oh my God, I've had that issue too. And then you would hear them and they would be so annoying.
Yeah, they're so loud. Like, what's wrong with these pigeons?
Probably just as sick as the rats.
Yeah, I think we need to find a way to kill all of them.
I agree.
The rats and the pigeons. Do you think that would disrupt our ecosystem?
No, I don't think so. We could be like Israel. We just put a lot of cats out.
Yeah, but then they have cats. Cats are gross too.
They are pretty gross.
Like the cats in Israel are pretty gross.
True, but they don't have mice or rats.
Yeah, maybe we need cats.
I think we might need cats.
Hmm. I don't know. That's like that movie.
Cats?
No, Five the Mouse.
Oh my gosh, I haven't watched that movie in
When they're
years.
like, there are no cats in America, and then they come to New York City and there are cats. I think the cats were symbolic of the Nazis, but like,
Interesting.
I think
Maybe we don't want cats.
I think that you don't quote me on that, but I think that's what that movie was about. I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Same.
Like they were coming from Europe. But whatever. Back to dating and dating
Yes.
story. No, I think it's weird. That's definitely a weird thing to say.
Yeah, I bet.
Do you think that was weirder than the guy who talked about robots?
I think for the time, the robots were a bit weirder than the rabbits. But that's a hard call.
I'm like racking my brain for if a guy ever told me any of these types of things. I feel like I'm the one who says weird stuff on dates.
Yeah.
But like not that weird.
No, I'm pretty PG on dates.
Yeah, I mean like I'll say stuff, but only if it's like relevant or if I'm joking.
Right. Gotta do it with a sense of humor.
Yeah, that's why I asked if he was joking. Like I would say that. Well, no, I probably wouldn't say that because I also have I have an irrational fear of dead animals.
Ooh.
So I would definitely not kill an animal.
I
But
just don't need to talk about killing on a date in general. It's not my topic of conversation.
I've talked about killing on dates.
Oh God.
But like terrorists.
Okay, that's a little different.
Like I've gone on dates since October 7th, 2023.
Yeah.
So
I went on a date October 9th, like
Oh, wow.
right after October 7th. And that was I guess I have talked about killing on dates,
wow.
but it like about October 7th. So it was very different.
Yeah. What was that like? Was that
Um Well, I think like we were both obviously like we weren't expecting October 7th to happen and the date was planned like before like the attacks of October 7th. Um so it was a very we were both very vulnerable on that date and like emotional because like we had heard so many different stories and all the news was slowly coming in and like it was very upsetting.
Yeah.
The crazy foreshadowing of that date was we actually walked around a specific college campus in New York,
Oh wow.
um, Columbia. Which like looking back on that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we did that because like to think about like how Jews were treated there months later, Pesach time, was just crazy. It was like in some ways, like I went out with this guy on a few dates, and like we never counted that second date as a real date because it was a weird date for both of us. We both originally wanted to cancel because we were both emotional. Um, and yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, I can imagine. I feel like I talked to a couple guys like in the couple weeks following, and I was like still trying to go to like not events, but they had like community wide like to him or speeches or whatever. And I was like still trying to go to those types of things.
You know, it's hard to be a functioning human being for like the week or two right after. I mean, some days
Yeah.
it's hard now to be a functioning human being.
Yeah, and on top of that, I was injured because
Oh,
I sprained my foot like during Sukkot.
oh wow. Oh, circus was not a good time for you.
No, I sprained my foot, so like I could barely walk.
Oh gosh.
And then it was also, I get busy at work during that time.
Hmm.
So it's like, I remember one day I was crying at work. I was like, it was right before Jihad Day, where
Oh
like,
no.
where they said like, oh yeah, on this day, they're gonna like do all these things in New York City. My company even sent it around an email being like, oh yeah, we don't think we're in any type of threat, but like, just be aware of this happening. And we were working late and they're like, Rachel, how do you feel about this? And then I started crying. We were eating dinner because we were working late. And they're like, why don't you just work from home that day? And then
You're
they
like,
gave
I
me,
think that's a good idea.
yeah, then they gave me permission to work from home that day. And I was like, great.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of tears. A lot of tears.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I actually went on a proper date until like towards the end of October.
Right.
But even still, like that was like a big topic of conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, our lives got turned upside down overnight.
I think even now it's a big topic of
For
conversation.
sure.
Especially like if you ever like sometimes I'll talk to guys on apps who aren't as religious
Hmm.
or like not part of our community, where like we know how most people stand in our community, but like some of these random guys, I'm just like, even if I'm not gonna go out with them and I'm just bored and chatting with them, like
Right.
I'm just like, oh yeah, what's your stance on this?
Right.
And sometimes I genuinely don't know. Like I was just like chatting with a guy maybe like a month ago. I don't even remember when it was. It didn't last because he didn't even live in New York and it wasn't ever going to be anything, at least in my head. I was just bored. Honestly, I was bored. And like this guy was talking to me, our conversation was interesting, even though he lived across the country. I was like, okay, I can talk to him. Then I'm like, oh yeah, what's your stance on Israel? Like, let's talk about that.
Right.
Because like if this did become real,
Right. You need to make sure that
like are we
you're
on the
on the
same
same page.
page?
Like, Israel is a big part of your people's Jewish identities.
Yeah, religious or non-religious. Like no matter how religious someone is, like it's an important thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can't be like dating an anti-Zionist.
That's true. I mean, like, I know, like, in the past year, I never used to enjoy wearing Magen David, and now I literally wear Magen David earrings, a Magen David necklace, a Magen David ring, and bracelet.
Oh wow. Yeah,
I am a proud Zionist.
I have a necklace that I mean, I've been wearing it since before October 7th. I think like there was some anti-Semitic stuff going on like a couple years ago. So I tried to wear it like
Yeah.
when I can because like but I actually have a really nice story about that. It has nothing to do with dating.
Oh,
But
please
it's just
share.
like a nice story. That happened to me on the subway, randomly on the subway.
Oh wow.
So I one morning I was going to work, and from when I go to the office, I switch from the express train to the local. So I was switching trains and I was waiting for the train, and there's this lady standing next to me, and the local train comes. And this is not in our neighborhood, just to give you guys an idea. Like sometimes I see people I know on the train, like in the mornings, but like that's because like we all live in the same neighborhood. This was not in our neighborhood. This is like on a downtown train, like
Yeah.
way, like in Midtown somewhere. And so this lady and I get on the train at the same time, and there were open seats, so I took one of the seats. And this lady like she just kept staring at me. She was standing right by me and
That's uncomfortable.
she just kept staring at me, and I was like, did she want my seat? Like she was older but not elderly. Like
Okay.
older than me, but not old enough that I would like give her my seat.
Right. But
Like if she asked for it and she was like, "Oh, my leg or whatever, or I'm old," like, okay, I would give it to her. But like I'm not like standing up for her to give her the seat.
yeah.
Like if that makes sense. She was probably in her 50s, maybe. I'm bad at gauging ages.
Me too.
But she's just staring at me the whole train ride. Not the whole train ride, like a few stops. Like she was only on there for a couple stops. And she's staring at me. I'm like, what is this lady staring at? And then I like take out my phone and I'm texting, and she's still staring at me. And I'm like, is she trying to read my text? Like, is she just bored? Like, I don't know why she's
I
staring
would
at
have
me.
gotten off the train and we've kind
She didn't seem threatening.
Okay.
She was just like staring at me. But I'm just like, why does she keep looking at me? And we get to a stop, and she's getting off at that stop, and she like looks down to me and she's like, I like your magenta bead.
Oh wow.
I'm like, oh, she was just staring at my necklace the whole time. But she gets off the train, and then the girl who was sitting across from me, the train wasn't so full. Like we were on the local train, they run pretty frequently. So
Yeah.
it's not like it was rush hour, but it wasn't like crazy crowded. So like we could see each other from across the aisle or whatever. And she gets up and she like looks at my necklace. I see she's wearing one too. This is another lady. She was about my age, probably. Give or take,
Alright.
like probably within 5-10 years of my own age.
Got
Like,
it.
yeah. So she was saying, "Oh, I really like your again." She's like, "I really like yours. It's really pretty. Mine is kind of interesting. It's like pink, purple
Ooh, beautiful.
stones and beads. I'm not wearing it at this moment because I already changed out of my like clothes and jewelry,
Probably.
out of my real clothes and jewelry.
That'd be
Yeah, but she's like looking at it, and I saw she was wearing one too, and hers was kind of cool too. I don't remember. Hers wasn't as intricate as mine, but it was also like a little bit of a design. I was like, "Oh, yours is really cool too." And she's like, "Oh, thanks. I got it for my bat mitzvah." And I'm like, "I also got mine for my bat mitzvah." We were like laughing about that a little bit, and she's like, and mind you, I have no idea who this woman is. We live in a pretty big modern Orthodox community, like
Right.
in our neighborhood. I've never seen her. I don't think if she was religious, she doesn't live in our community, and she didn't seem so religious per se, like observant.
Yeah.
So that's why I find this story like extra like cool, because also the older lady, I've never seen her before. She could have been
Right.
coming from anywhere. And the younger woman was like, yeah, in these times we have to like stay strong and stay proud and
It's
all of
so
these things.
true.
And we had like a nice little moment on the train. And then we got to my stop and I got off. I haven't seen that woman. But the next day, and that day I was running kind of late. Like I always run in varying levels of late to work. But there's a difference
Right.
between being 5 minutes late to work and then 20 minutes late to work.
Exactly.
That was more of a 20-minute day, and the next day was more of like a 5-minute day. So I go and I'm standing and waiting for the train, and like while we're recording this, like you guys will be listening later, but right now we're in the month of Elul, and for some reason one of my friends like conned me into saying Tehillim for Elul.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, I know. What are we doing? But yeah, so I say it on the train in the morning. So the next day, again, this is a different time. I think I was standing by a different car. Like it always depends on the day, like when the trains come and the transfer and all of that, if I stand in the same place or
Right.
not. So I see the older woman again, and I'm like finishing up my Tehillim, and I have like a little Tehillim book I got from one of my friend's bat mitzvahs.
Always going back to the bat mitzvahs.
I know they're so useful.
It's true.
They give us useful things. And the older woman looks at me and she recognizes me. I realized when she looked at me and recognized me that I forgot to put my necklace on that day.
Oh no.
I forgot my jewelry. It happens. But she's like, to Helen? And I'm like, yeah. I think she must have been Israeli. She had an accent. She was either Israeli or something, some other sort of like, I don't know, similar accent.
Right.
So she was like, Tilim? I was like, yeah. And then we got on the train and didn't talk.
Wow.
Yeah, and I haven't seen her since.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really crazy. That's why, sometimes it bothers me when like guys choose not to wear kippas or like guys on dates choose not to wear kippas. I'm like, are you like you should be proud to be a Jew. Like you should be wearing your kippah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it gets complicated though.
Well, yeah, I definitely think it gets complicated, but when you're in like a big like Orthodox Jewish community, like yeah, you might be a little scared. Yes, I'm scared to walk around wearing all my Magen Davids, but I'm also proud to walk around wearing them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was that same week, or maybe it was the next week, or around that time, I was on the subway again, and my dress was like a little lower cut. Still appropriate for work, but still like
Right.
a little lower cut. And this guy next to me, he was not Jewish. He was definitely not Jewish. He kept staring at my chest, and I'm like,
Ew.
is he staring at my necklace or at my chest? Like, I don't know, but I'm self-conscious now. Like, does he want to kill me or is he staring at my chest? Like that's gross.
Yeah.
Luckily I think he got off the train.
Thank
Or
God.
I had a transfer.
Don't need creeps like that next to you.
Yeah, no, that was weird. But like he could have been staring at my necklace.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I had once, I guess it wasn't a date, but like what you were saying with the yarmulkes, I went to a concert with a guy
Nice.
and I was wearing but this was like, the concert was in like a really hipster area.
Okay.
So that's like kind of scary
It is a little
to
scary.
be like outwardly Jewish. So I was like, do I keep my necklace out? Do I not? Like, I don't know. And again, my necklace is like pretty small. Like, and it's like it's pretty. Like there are like beads and
Right.
stones on it. So people might not necessarily realize that it's a Magen David,
Right.
even though it is.
They might just think it's like abstract art.
Yeah. But I was like nervous a little bit. I'm like, do I wear my necklace out? Whatever. I'm like, I told myself in my head, I'm like, okay, if he's wearing a yarmulke, so I was meeting him there. I'm like, if he's
Yeah.
wearing a yarmulke, I'll keep my necklace out.
Right.
And he was, and we kind of talked about it. I was like, yeah, I wasn't sure. He was like, I also wasn't sure.
I know, I feel like in like this day and age, like girls wearing a Magen David is like equivalent to like a guy wearing a yarmulke kippah.
Yeah, but it was fine. I kept my necklace out. He kept his yarmulke on. Nobody bothered us.
Good. They shouldn't bother you. You're
Yeah.
just representing your identity.
Yeah, and we were fine.
Good. Gotta be a proud Jew.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, yeah. Do you have any more stories that you would like to share?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. So I guess we'll move into the wrap-up segment.
Awesome.
Okay. So I know we've been talking, giving bits of advice here and there.
Yeah.
Can you give me and my listeners one piece of dating advice?
Yes, my piece of dating advice is just to be yourself. Like, no one wants to go out with someone who's not acting their self or pretending to be someone who they're not being, and it's just be you.
Yeah, I like that. We all have to be ourselves.
Exactly.
I'm unapologetic with myself all the time.
That's awesome. As you should.
Yeah. Sometimes
As
it
you
doesn't work in my
should.
favor, but in the long run, it's better.
Right.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, what is your Real Housewife tagline?
All right, I guess my little tagline for myself, and it's something that like I use in my job, is a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. So it's important to go out of your comfort zone. And sometimes going out of your comfort zone is going on one date with a guy.
I like that.
Thank you. It's been my little tagline for years.
It's a great one. And it's like especially relevant with dating.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't know. I'll talk about it more if it actually becomes anything. But I found this year, and I will tell these stories eventually, I've gone a little bit more out of my comfort zone with things. And I mean, I had a I had dinner with a friend last night, and I was telling her about a situation that maybe I'll tell you guys about later. I'm not ready to like talk about it yet because also I don't know if it's anything. But she's just like, why don't you just try?
Right.
Like, I know you don't want to, but like nothing is gonna happen if you don't
It's
make
so
something happen.
it's so true. Like last night I had to do something that was super uncomfortable for me and call one of my coworkers out on something. And like another coworker just pushed me to call her and like tell her how I was feeling. And like, I'm so happy I did that because I feel so much better now. And it's like, you might not, you might, someone might set you up with a guy and you're like, oh, I'm not sure. But like, it doesn't hurt to go out on that one date. One date doesn't hurt you. And
Yeah,
sometimes it'll end up being an amazing date, or it's a horrible date and you get free dinner out of it or a free coffee.
yeah. And a good story to come tell in sticky situations.
Exactly.
But also like she was saying it in the context of like me reaching out to someone. And it's just like, even if that's not in your comfort zone, like, who cares? The worst that's gonna happen is that the person says no.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
But yeah, I find like you regret, we like tend to get in our comfort zones and we don't leave them.
Yes.
But I find in my own life, I regret more the things that I didn't do than the things I did do.
It's true. It's true.
Like when I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, that was dumb,
Right.
but I don't regret it. Then other things, it's like, oh yeah, I was too scared to do that, so I didn't.
Yeah.
And now I regret it.
Right.
Like, if you're confused about something and you don't say something,
Right.
like you can regret it.
Exactly. Just leave that comfort zone. It might be scary, but most likely it'll be worth it in the end.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Well, anyways, Yael, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on the
you for
podcast.
having me.
Of course. And Sticky Situation Nation, you'll catch me next time. Bye, everybody.